This is Tehachapi. Welcome, sit back and relax as Key Budge and Corey Costello talk about things that are happening in and around Tehachapi. Now it's time for Key and Corey.
Well, welcome to another episode of Tehachapi. I'm Key Budge. Corey Costello joins me today. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man.
Hey, today we want to revisit a conversation that we started back in July. We're going to invite Paul Winston back in, creating this film that he was working on here in Tehachapi. We're going to find out where the journey is going. He filmed a good portion of it right here in Tehachapi. He lived here in Tehachapi, so this is cool. We want to invite Paul back in just to see where he's at.
And it sparked a big interest too. I mean, he was one of the first of many that sort of came after that because of the challenges of COVID-19 and the filming in Los Angeles County and Hollywood and that kind of stuff. You know, they either couldn't do it or they had to stay within a certain radius of the studios. And so we were inside that radius. And so we had quite a few folks. I mean, I spent days with film scouts, and we have a few other things that are scheduled in some of our facilities coming up, and we even created an online database dashboard for film scouts to look at and check out some of the stuff the entire Tehachapi area has to offer their productions. So yeah, this one kind of got the ball rolling on all that stuff.
And then we're also going to answer a few questions that folks have after we have our conversation with Paul. So if you're sticking around for this episode, we're also going to let you know that Corey and I are going to do a little Q&A at the end.
All right.
And these are some of the frequently asked questions that we see here at City Hall. So we'll save that for the end of the show. Right. But right now, let's invite in Paul Winston. You are the actor-producer for Nawalt, and that is an Unbounded Ambitions film. Paul, welcome back to Tehachapi.
All right. Keith, thank you. Corey, thank you guys.
It's a pleasure for coming back.
So the journey, last time we talked was in July, but you know, we've kind of back and forth on Instagram. We've kind of kept up to date, but where is the project at? Where is Nawalt right now? People want to know because it did, like Corey said, created a little buzz here.
Yeah, no, definitely. So at this moment in time, we're kind of literally right on the cusp, right there to get this thing done. I've got one last location to lock here, and I'm just very, very adamant about bringing it back to Tehachapi to finish it out. It just seems right. It feels right. And again, you know, you guys know my stance on that awesome little town and everything. And so I've got one more, it's literally one day. Like it's a 6 to 8 hour shoot. It's not that crazy. I've already chopped my crew in half and then in half again. It's right there. And then I've got some special effects stuff to shoot, but that's in downtown Los Angeles and soundstage. So, but this one is it's a location. It's an interior location that I'm in need of. And just like we talked about, Key, the Saracoso location was perfect for me. But again, you know, we keep on getting these speed bumps along the way. COVID mostly is the main culprit. And every production is going to have its hiccups. We're going to have our setbacks. We're going to have, you know, everything under the sun a lot of the time. But COVID has proven to be the most challenging aspect I've ever encountered in filmmaking. So with me being an independent artist and my company, Unbounded Ambition Films, being an independent film production company, I mean, I'm in co-production with several other people within this, but it's tough, you know, and it's almost, I can compare it to big business kind of, you know, right now being kind of the main thing and small businesses kind of just being pushed aside. That's kind of how we feel as independent artists right now. So that's kind of where we're at. You know, we don't stop.
So let's talk about the sort of final shot you're looking for. You know, you kind of said some stuff to Key and I to try to help with some locations. We sent you the, you know, potential for Saracoso, that campus that's occupied by Saracoso, but leased by the Tehachapi Unified School District. They're still the owner. And they've got, understandably, some COVID rules in place because campuses are closed. You know, they can't have outside entities. I mean, we actually are one of those that can't use it. We usually have our city council meetings at their district school board meeting hall at the chambers. And we haven't been able to meet since March in person because they said, look, you're an outside entity. And we get it because I know down south there was a school district that got pretty in some hot water because they were allowing commercial filming while they said the kids couldn't be on campus. So I get it. But what's that? Describe that last shot you're looking for. And I don't know, maybe folks will have an idea for you here in Tehachapi.
Yeah. Essentially, it's gonna be a little tough to recreate because now we're coming on a year. I shot the scene that leads into this scene. We shot a year ago. So that means I've got to have the same exact haircut. My wardrobe has to look exactly the same. I've got to have, you know what I mean? It's all got to match as far as the look of my
have
hair.
that continuity.
it's continuity is a very important thing. But anyway, basically my character exits one portion and he enters a long hall, like a long hallway or corridor of sorts that's got several doors on either side. And basically what the character's doing at this time is he's searching for somebody, and something is leading him down this hall. And he basically clears a couple rooms. You know, he's a police officer, so he's clearing a couple rooms as he makes his way down to the very end of the hall where this mysterious door is. And it's got him kind of drawn, you know, he's drawn to this door because there's a certain voice that he hears that's a familiar voice that's bringing him there. So that's really that's the gist of it. I mean, all the stuff that happens within the rooms that he clears, that's all in soundstage. That's in a different location as well. So that one's covered. So that's really all I need. I need my character to basically come down this hallway, enter a couple rooms, go to the very end, put his hand on the door, and then we cut to black. That's really it.
That's it. So, how long does said hallway need to be? What is your ideal length of the hallway? How many doors are we talking?
I would say, I mean, honestly, all I need is 2 doors, or I need 3 total. So I would need 2, one on each side, on either side of my character, and then one at the very end. But that doesn't really matter if it is at the end or not, because we can manipulate it and make it look like we can recreate, like reuse one of the other doors on the sides and make it look like it's the end. So essentially 2 doors would be ideal. And if it really had to come down to it, we could even use 1, because we could flip the image and put use one door on one side. And if we flip the image, we can make it look like it's on the other side. So it's very simple. And I had another location up in Northern California. That one fell through as well. Again, it was more of the same. You know, it was more of the COVID stuff. And at that time, you know, we were really taking our time. I had like makeup artists and I had all this and that. And I was like, okay, I can eliminate all this and I will do my own makeup and I'll make sure that we just have as minimal amount of crew as possible. Just want to get this done. And you know what it kind of brought me to was, you know what? I wasn't supposed to shoot this remaining portion up in Northern California. I wasn't supposed to shoot it in Los Angeles. I was supposed to shoot this last part in Tehachapi. Just like I talked to you guys before in the last recording that we did for Tehachapi. I really want to bring a premiere there. Like I want to have a screening there for everybody in town. And it just kind of rang really true to me. And, you know, it just made a lot of sense for me to bring this production back. You know what I mean?
The COVID thing, no matter our conversation all year, obviously has had COVID involved. This is such an easy scene to find, but because of COVID, the difficulties that are in place to find a location like that. I mean, it's like what you described, you could find anywhere, but there's so many rules. You know, you mentioned cutting your crew in half and then having to cut it in half again, not because of budgetary reasons, but because of COVID reasons.
Yeah.
These challenges, it's so fluid in every industry. And we talk to our mom and pop shops here about, you know, being flexible and trying to, you know, work within the rules. But when the rules are constantly changing, I can't imagine how difficult that is when you're waiting for the governor's next speech on Monday or Friday to say, hey, I've changed my mind and this is what we're doing. You know?
Seriously. And it's like, I mean, there comes a point in time where it's like, you know, enough is enough. And, you know, we just want to get back to our lives and we want to get back to what we want to do and we want to create. And like I said, it's especially challenging for independent productions like myself, you know, and artists like myself that are really striving to do something that's kind of outside of the industry in a sense. You know what I mean? It's in the industry, of course, but I'm not like attached to a big studio. You know, I had an option on this and that option actually expired because it's taken me so long to shoot 22 minutes of footage. You know, when this is all said and done, it's a pilot. It'll be between 22 and 25 minutes. And it's, again, you know, it's just one of those things that, I mean, luckily for this project, me and my fellow producer, Dwayne Ram, you know, we just don't quit. So luckily for this project that we have that we're quitting's not an option. So we'll get it done no matter what. The saddest part about it is that it's taken so long. And like I said, recreating all these scenes, especially now with continuity, like you said, Key, it's going to be another challenge. You know what I mean? It's going to be another challenge that we have to, that we've got to approach, and, you know, we'll take it as it comes, but, you know, this is where we're at. So we just got to, you know, deal with the hand that we've been dealt, so to speak.
Let's recap what Nawalt is. You know, we've talked about it because we were, immersed in that conversation that we had back in July. But for any of the folks that are listening today that maybe haven't listened to the July episode yet, let's recap what the project is.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a sci-fi piece, and there's still a lot that I can't talk about just because it's, hasn't been released or anything yet. And now we're in the process of hopefully getting it signed on to a different network. But it's a sci-fi piece. My character, the character that I play is supposed to be basically the epitome of what human perfection would be in a not too distant future. But at its core, this piece is a love story. And we find out that these two characters, my character and his love interest, Nawalt, the lead character, they are not too far from each other as far as how they were brought into this world. So it's a lot of twisted, mad scientist kind of stuff going on behind the scenes with these characters. But essentially at its core, it's a love story. And my character starts a path down, kind of a dangerous path to find this love of his, Nawalt, that has just disappeared out of nowhere. One day she's gone. And it kind of just throws his whole world into this crazy cycle. And that's when, we see all these interesting characters that Chad, my character, comes across. And again, that SS Minnow site out there in Tehachapi, that was still my favorite location that we've shot at. It's just so post-apocalyptic looking. And the way we shot it, it's just crazy the way it looks. But essentially that's what it is. It's a love story at its core, and it's my character chasing the lost love of his life.
Yeah. Well, I think at least, in my mind, you got the wheels turning a little bit again about figuring out a site. Hopefully maybe some listeners have some idea. They can send that to us at media@tehachapiCityHall.com. We can forward that on. But I think after we're done, Paul, I might have a solution for you. We'll exchange notes. I think I got something for you.
Love it. Awesome.
As listening to you describe, what's been going on, it made me flash to that thing that happened just a couple of months ago with Tom Cruise doing his Mission Impossible movie and going,
right.
Getting caught going nuts on some workers who weren't following COVID protocols, right, because it's so serious and the production can get shut down. You guys have got some strict rules that you have to follow. Otherwise, you just don't get to shoot. It's not like you close the business down for a day. Okay, that's it. They're pulling your permit. You can't film anymore.
Done. Yeah, totally. And it's one of those things too. It's like, I heard that little piece where Tom was kind of going off. Here's what I will say, not in defense of it, because it's, kind of inexcusable to be screaming at people like that, especially on the set, when everybody's just trying to work. But at the same time, he's probably in a very stressful position, being the lead producer and the lead actor and Tom Cruise all in one, dealing with all this. So it can be a very stressful thing, especially when, he's got multiple millions of dollars at stake there. So that's a whole different ballgame, for us. Yes, it's a challenge in and of itself. We're on a different, level, so to speak, but it's like, for us, it's different because we lose our whole production. You know what I mean? Like we get shut down, like it's just done. We don't have another chance, like say Paramount and Tom Cruise would have. And it just kind of, it's a reminder of what's going on. And it's kind of sad, honestly, because it's made everybody very paranoid too on the set, especially, because we're all in close quarters with each other, and, we're doing the best we can, of course, but it does make it a very stressful environment.
Now, if people want to follow along this Nawalt journey, where should they tune in on your social medias where you kind of tease things every once in a while, or at least they can follow what you're up to? Where should we tell people to go ahead and follow you social media wise?
Yeah, social media is probably the best avenue to follow everything. On Instagram is the one that I'm mostly active on. It's at paul.winston. So if you just search paul.winston on the Instagram search bar, you could do that, and you'll see all the stuff. I usually have updates on it at least every day because I'm working on this damn thing every single day, it seems. So I'll have updates on there at least every day, and I'll post whatever I've got. You know what I mean? Like, I like to keep everybody involved. I get tons of people. I was getting a bunch of people. Matter of fact, Key, I forgot to say about this. I was just in Tehachapi on Monday, and I was doing a bunch of stuff. I was looking at locations. I was looking at some exterior stuff too for the future of this thing, because I'm already thinking ahead, of course, because I don't stop with just this. But at the same time, I had a bunch of other stuff to do. Met up with some family that lives out there in town. I was inquiring about some apartments out there, because I think I mentioned to you before that I'm moving back out to Tehachapi. I think I mentioned that to you. Did I?
No.
Breaking news
Yeah,
on Tehachapod.
That's right.
There it is. But funny enough, I had called this apartment. I was just giving my name, my info, and just to show you how involved your community is within the news and what you guys put out there with Tehachapod and Tehachapi News and such. I said my name, Paul, Winston, and then she stopped and she was like, "Paul Winston," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And she was like, "Not the Paul Winston that shot out of the SS Minnow." The article I saw on the paper, I was like, "Oh, well." It was really cool. She was super nice. Unfortunately, the apartments didn't have anything available at this time for what I'm looking for, but we'll see what happens with that one in the future. It's just one of those things. Like, I love that community there. It's just so closely knit, and everybody is just very, very friendly, like I've said before. So yeah. I can't wait to get back out there to live. And, I'm kind of over the whole hustle and bustle of LA. Like where I live at right now, it's my office where I'm at is in Century City, and I live in Beverly Hills, like right down the street. I literally walk here most of the time. There's a lot of conveniences about where I live, but it's just, you get to a certain stage in life where, you know what I mean? Like you think about like where you want to be and stuff like that. So, and where I'm at now, I could drive into town. I'll make the commute, man.
Yeah. So. And that's the thing too. I think, I always hate using the term advantage of COVID, but I think what's happened in some ways as people have kind of examined themselves a tad, they've also re-examined their work habits and realized I don't need to be here in Century City every day. I can work from home 5 days a week or 4 days a week, and I have to go in for some kind of meeting or something once a week. It's not a big deal. I go into, to the city a couple hours away, totally. and that's standard on the East Coast. It hasn't been a West Coast thing, but I think now we're seeing that more and more where it's starting to become, it's happening in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is moving to Fresno because, their offices have closed because of COVID, and most of the workers are like, great, I can't afford to live here anyway. I'm going to go into the Central Valley where I can buy a home, and if I have to drive in, 3 hours, once in a while, no big deal. So yeah, I think that's kind of one of the advantages is people like yourself are seeing that you can kind of work from anywhere and then just, be close enough to be able to make that drive if you have to.
Well,
exactly.
I had sent Corey a copy of this article yesterday. But in PCMag.com, they list the top 60 communities that you can move to that are Zoom friendly, if you will.
Yeah, work from home.
Yeah, work from home locations. And one of them's right here in our zip code at 93561. Yeah. It was ranked number 2 in the United States because of the high-speed internet that has come in, in the rural areas. So this is an area, and you're so close to all the other conveniences that we have here in town. So it's kind of funny how... And we're seeing that market change in the real estate market. We're seeing the out-of-town folks coming because they can work from home. Zoom and COVID has changed the landscape of how we work. And we've figured out how to be productive and get it done like we're doing, having this conversation. You're down in LA, we're here in Tehachapi, and we're doing this via Zoom and talking about Nawalt, this project that, is partially filmed here in Tehachapi. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's a cool thing. I'm going to take away out of the last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Paul, anything you want to add before we let you go?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I just want to say thanks to everybody there in town, and you guys especially. You guys just such a big support, and it's kind of one of those things where I'm happy that people are moving out there, and I understand why, but I just want it to remain that small town kind of feel. I want Tehachapi to keep that feel. You know what I mean? I don't want it to turn into a little mini LA, if you will.
I had this lady stop me at I think I was doing a presentation. It might have been like the Bear Valley Women's Association or something. They invited me out there. And at the end, she pulls me aside, and she's lived in Tehachapi 50 years or something. And she goes, can you just let these people, I don't mind that people move here from other communities, especially like LA, but can they just leave that LA attitude down there? I don't want that here. And I said, I will see what I can do, ma'am.
It's funny because it does take a while for that edge. I mean, I grew up in LA and slowly started working my way this direction. And this was the best place to raise a family that we felt, my wife and I. But it takes a little bit of that time to get off that LA edge.
Yeah.
You know, the driving in LA and that the intense feeling that you have all the time. When you get here and it's like, okay, stop. Let's take a breath.
Yep.
Let's look around. Let's take in the scenery. We're going to get to where we need to get to.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be done yesterday.
Right.
So it takes a while for that edge to come off.
Yeah. But there's also perspective too. They're on this side, you know, I have friends that have moved up, you know, from, you know, Orange County area. And I'll tell them a story when like we put in like a new stop sign, right? And somebody will complain like, that added, and the guy once told me this kind of as a half joke, but he's like, that added 20 seconds to my commute.
Right.
I have to stop at that stop sign. And like, you know, and then when I talk to, you know, those folks that are coming from larger cities and they laugh, they're like, what traffic? Like, this isn't traffic. Like, it's busy twice a day, maybe. And like, this is not real traffic. You know, it's obviously bigger on the scale that Tehachapi's seen. But yeah, in perspective of what actual traffic is, that's not much.
Yeah, I know. Working in LA and living in LA, and you deal with the 405 and the 5 and the 110 and the 10. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
I mean, you know when to get on and when not to. You know, it's like my wife would say, why don't you just pull off and eat dinner somewhere and then get back on the freeway in an hour and then you'll be home in 15 minutes. You know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Totally.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Give us the update on Nawalt. We're all looking forward to it, and hopefully we can help you find that location to close the door on the production, and then you can go out and get an option picked up, and we can start watching this as a series. That's pretty exciting as you kind of tease us. We get little tidbits here and there, but just knowing that Tehachapi is where some of this is filmed is going to be cool.
Definitely. Thank you, Key. I appreciate that, man. And it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to bring it out there. It's the place is unlike any other. So, you know, and it's, again, like I said, I'm set on it now. I have to finish the filming portion of this in Tehachapi.
Well, we look forward to talking to you again when we have a premiere.
There you go.
Here in Tehachapi, possibly at the BK Theater or somewhere, or maybe whatever it's going to be. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've already talked to my co-producer about it, and everybody's on board with us giving a screening to the town there, just because, like I said, you guys have been so awesome to us in our production. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Definitely.
Well, again, another interesting conversation with Paul Winston.
Yeah.
Nawalt is going to be one of those that I know my wife's going to be drawn to it because it's got the science fiction, you know, twist to it, the love story. Right. And I'll be there too, you know, especially because of the tie here with Paul now. Now that we go back to 2 times on Tehachapi.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and it's fun when something is filmed here, you know, and it's like, or even in Kern County, like you'll watch something and you'll be like, yeah, I know where that's at, you know, and it's good to see that, and it draws you into shows you might not be interested in normally.
You know what's kind of cool, and it just made me think because he brought up the minnow shooting out there at the old SS Minnow site. If that in any way makes it into the scene, and you see it in the background, you know how many people that are not from Tehachapi are going to recognize that?
Right.
I mean, that's been there for so many years that people are going to say, I know where that is. I've been there. Where? And they're going to try and remember just based on seeing that boat. Yeah,
or even, you know, you take it to the next level, right? So this is an overwhelming, you know, smash, right? This is the next, like, Walking Dead, right? Yeah. So this is a giant show. You know, these scenes that become, they become tourist attractions.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've been to Astoria, Oregon, to the Goonies house, right? You know, that kind of stuff. San Francisco, the Painted Ladies for Full House. People, you know, they get annoyed because they're always there taking photos. But, like, those iconic sort of images that you know, that you've seen in film and TV, like, they become destinations in themselves. So best case scenario, this is a huge smash hit, and it's a tourist destination.
Well, we want to remind everyone, follow Paul Winston on Instagram. It's paul.winston, Winston, and you can stay up to date on what's going on with Nawalt, what the timeline is, you know, and when it gets picked up, and where it'll be able to be viewed, and hopefully right here in Tehachapi for a red carpet event.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Hopefully we can get something rolling with that sooner rather than later for sure.
Now, Corey, something we talked about in past shows, and we started with the last show, frequently asked questions. Mm-hmm. People that call City Hall, let's start to grab those questions, answer them here on the show, and, you know, hopefully, you know, it'll save someone some time. Yeah,
absolutely.
So here's a question for you. What council district do I live in?
Great question. It depends, right? So what was it, 3 years ago, I think now, 3 years ago, we were sort of forced into districting. We used to be an open at-large election, so if there were 2 seats open for the city council, as many people as they want could run. You lived in the city limits, and then the top 2 vote getters got that seat. That was pretty much how it always went, and then we received some letters saying, nope, this is not fair and equitable, so you have to do districts. So we went through this entire process. We will be redrawing districts actually soon, just part of that process. After a census comes out, you have to have these demographers look at your districts. Don't think there'll be many changes, but because they got to try to evenly distribute the population across all 5 districts, or even think about the potential growth for those districts. So, and that'll be revisited, but it shouldn't be a big change. But currently, you can go to our website, and under just the the government side, the city clerk, and the city council. There's a city council district map just there in the header. You click on that, and it's kind of a cool GIS map. You type in your address, and it'll sort of pinpoint it right inside the district that you live in inside the city. So we have 5 districts. Each council member represents one of those districts. It's not really easy to say, oh, this grid it's not because of the population distribution. You've seen districts with anything, right? Some kind of curl into one. Some are very tiny because the population is dense, and some are more spread out. Like Michael Davies, our Mayor Pro Tem Michael Davies, his district is very spread out, and it captures a lot of the commercial corridor because there's not a lot of population that's in there, but it's part of the land of the city. And then his residential side is more sort of focused in one spot. So that's the easiest way to do that is go to the website, and we have that district city council map, and type in your address.
And that's something the city, we did not draw up ourselves.
Right.
This was done professionally by an independent organization that was assigned to do that based on demographics to make sure that it was fair and equitable for all 5 districts.
Yeah, and they go by basically just mostly population. Although this was sort of spurned on by questions about race, they can't take race into account when they draw the districts. So that was sort of brought up. But Kern County supervisors went through it a few years back as well, right around the same time for the most part. That's why Zach Scrivener has this gigantic district that runs from Taft to California City pretty much because of just the land mass involved in the population there. So it was done by somebody who this is what they do, and probably in the next year, once the census data comes out, we'll have to go through that process again, and just not as intense as it was last time, but just to look at to make sure the numbers haven't changed too much with some of the growth we've had, and make any adjustments as necessary.
Very good. Another question that we get here at City Hall and also at our police department is, how do I contact animal control? We've got a stray dog or a pack of stray dogs. What do we do? And this answer is for everyone in the zip code. Yeah. This is all of 93561. Bear Valley, Stallion Springs. Here's your answer. It's Kern County Animal Services, and their phone number is 661-868-7100, and they are in charge of the stray animals and throughout our entire area. So we do not have our own animal control department. We contract with the County of Kern for that service, and they provide it. And if you'd like to go to their website, it's kerncountyanimalservices.org. And the phone number, again, is 868-7100.
Yeah, every once in a while, too, there's always something that goes on. And for some reason, it's kind of funny, but like our police department will end up taking a dog or something. And so every once in a while, if you see a dog sitting in the back of the police car, he's not a canine. They probably had to just animal control couldn't get there, or was it maybe a situation where the dog had to get, removed. And so it just goes, and they, give it water and food. It sits in the holding cell until animal control can come pick it up.
And they do have a chip reader. Yeah. So it was donated by, I think, by Have a Heart Humane Society, and they donated a chip reader so they're able to help identify, if your animal is chipped. Yeah. But I do remember, here's going down the 202, going west, just passing the McDonald's right there about Reeves, and there's a Brahma bull right there in the 202. It's like, who do you call for that? Yeah. It's like, this isn't good.
We used to, way back in the day, like when I used to do traffic reports on the radio, Kern County traffic reports are always funny because you have that city, your two car crash on the left shoulder, right? Or the number 1 lane is blocked. But the things that would either fall off somebody's car that the CHP or Bakersfield police would actually put on their dispatch notes, or whatever animal was running loose. And we used to have a list that we'd write down, like, there was a whole flock of sheep on, blocking a portion of Highway 65, and we we'd say that on the radio, and then you'd put it on the list, right? I mean, you never know. In this area, Tehachapi specifically, bulls, deer, elk. You'll get some interesting things that'll pop in the roadway sometimes.
I do remember when I was working in LA County with the Sheriff's Department, hearing a call in Palmdale that there was a pig running around through an intersection, just basically kind of
doing donuts.
chased. Yeah, kind of like, and that was a call for service. And I just scratched my head and I was thankful I wasn't the one that got assigned that call.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. So the animal control, they're the guys to go, the folks to go to, call them. And whether it's a Brahma bull or a beagle, from beagles to bulls.
That's right. That's Kern County Animal Services at 661-868-7100. And Corey, it's been a busy week. We keep plugging along. You've got something new that dropped, that's important for potential businesses that are thinking about Tehachapi. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, just real quick. If you go to our website again, and under either the economic development section, which is under government, or there's a business tab, you click on that. Left-hand side, we have what is now called the demographics and economic opportunity page, and you click on that, and that is a completed study. We contract with a group called E-Impact out of Portland, and they ran really updated demographics. Hadn't been done about 5-6 years, and the previous ones didn't capture the entire sort of trade area of Tehachapi. We have roughly 10,000 in the city. We have roughly 35,000 in the entire zip code, but there's more than just that shop at our businesses in the city, and we know that. We've seen that, and so we wanted to capture some of those other zip codes and the people that are actually shopping here, because that's what business owners want to know. That's what potential developers want to know, investors want to know, and so that's completely updated. It's a very cool online dashboard. You can download the data yourself if you like. If you're into data sets and spreadsheets, you can download there. But no, it's a very visually pleasing maps, car counts, retail sales figures, and is what the consultant said. They had a great term. They said, this city is punching above its weight. There's no reason that a city that has only 10,000 in the regular population should be, having this $32 million in grocery store sales. Obviously we're being benefited by the folks around us too, and so that's good for business. So yeah, check it out, and even if you just want to learn more about who's living here, who's shopping here, that's all on the it's all on the website now. It's really cool. That's
liveuptehachapi.com. Mm-hmm. And we invite you to send us your questions, your comments, your thoughts, an idea for a show. We'd love to hear from you. media@tehachapicityhall.com. And we'll do our best to answer those questions and try and drag a guest that can maybe talk about it if we're not able to. So again, media@tehachapicityhall.com. We appreciate your time, and we'll catch you on a future episode of Tehachapod.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@tehachapicityhall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.